You know, I'm happy, I'm excited, but I'm also like scared at the same time and don't know what is gonna happen with the future of Activision. What's going on, guys? You guys know my name's Sinner Skater, and we got some big gaming news that we're gonna talk about. Something, you know, I'm really desiring to talk about for once. I haven't felt a drive to like talk about something like this in a while, so sit back and enjoy. But we're talking about Destiny, Bungie, who is the developers of Destiny, and Activision, who is you know, Bungie's partner, the publishers, and they help them out with all that. And Activision and Bungie split earlier today. Their partnership has ended, and it's pretty insane. I'm a big fan of Destiny as a franchise. I played the hell out of Destiny 1, and you might be like, oh, I don't care about Destiny, I'm gonna stop watching this. This has huge implications for Call of Duty and the future of Activision games, just the gaming industry overall. It's like really interesting to talk about. So it's probably gonna be a long video, so sit back, here we go. Earlier today, it was announced that Bungie, who again, developers of Destiny, their partnership with Activision is no more. Activision decided to cut ties, and Bungie now has full publishing rights to everything Destiny moving forward. Bungie is now an indie developer. You may be like, oh, that doesn't sound good. A developer getting dropped from a major company, a major publishing company, that doesn't seem like something you should be excited about. But it's the opposite of that. This is absolutely good news, and it's been reported as good news. Bungie staff was reportedly cheering at the announcement meeting today. Everyone on the internet is like telling Bungie congrats on their breakup. Journalists, other developers, you know, Phil Spencer, Michael Condrey, who used to be the head of Sledgehammer for World War II, others important figures in the gaming industry, players in general, everyone is like super excited and saying congrats and saying this is a good thing. You can be like, yeah, well, maybe that's because it's an accomplishment to go indie again, but the real reason is that Activision is no longer involved in Destiny. Everyone is excited because of that, including myself, because Activision can no longer, or potentially, hypothetically, no longer ruin what is Destiny, because they've kind of had their hand and kind of messed things up in the past. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes from here, where Destiny will head from here, because again, it's kind of belief that Activision was kind of holding and dragging the game down. It's going to be interesting to see what the hell is going on at Activision, because they've been going through a bunch of different changes the last several months and having like major influence on some of the games that are under their belt, and it's not influence in a good way. You might remember Michael Condrey leaving Sledgehammer to be the executive at Activision, and that may as well be one of those many changes. I'm just curious to see how these other Activision games are affected in this future, and I'll tell you what I think is going to happen at the end of this, but I want to briefly go over Destiny and Activision's past for those of you who are unfamiliar with the franchise, so you can get an idea of how Activision has affected the game. Maybe you can see some similarities in, you know, Black Ops 4 or other different Activision titles, Overwatch. You know, you can make your own decisions there, but So Bungie and Activision partnered up back in like 2013, or you know, slightly before then. Bungie was supposed to release a total of 4 Destiny games and 4 major DLC expansions between 2013 and 2020. That's 4 games and 4 major DLCs over 7 years, which is pretty aggressive, especially for the type of game that Destiny is. Destiny 1 ended up getting delayed and got released in 2014, and there was a new agreement that was like Destiny was supposed to be like a 10-year franchise or something with like 3 or 4 games over time, which is still a lot, and Bungie was still behind that alleged schedule up until this date, and that was kind of like the first conflict between Bungie and Activision. I loved Destiny 1. I loved everything from the Dark Below up until Destiny 2, because it dropped the ball with Destiny 2. Again, Activision has something to do with that. But Destiny 1 did launch rough, but they kind of turned things around, and year 2 is absolutely amazing. We get to Destiny 2, and it's like the game regressed. It was like a watered-down version of Destiny. There was no endgame content. Coming off from freaking Rise of Iron, it was such a disappointment. There was no endgame content for veteran players, which is like a big no-no. The game just felt empty after like a month, like there was nothing to do. It was like a shell of what Destiny 1 year 2 and 3 was. It was just disappointing. I was hyped to play the game, and I stopped playing Destiny 2 as soon as World War II came out, because there was nothing else meaningful for me to do in the game. Whereas I know in previous Call of Duty games, I would juggle between Destiny and Call of Duty and play. I quit Advanced Warplay excited to play Destiny. I was like really into the game. Destiny 2 was just like there was no draw. I was expecting so much more, and I haven't really even played the game since. I had the season passes with the 2 DLC expansion packs. I still haven't laid my hand on either of them. Then Forsaken came out this past like October or September, like right before Black Ops 4, and alongside the various updates the game received over time, Destiny 2 Forsaken seemed to turn things around for it. Bungie themselves said that Forsaken was a release for the fans, for the hardcore players of Destiny, those who have stuck by with them so far. It was more along the lines of year 2 and year 3 of Destiny 1, which is a good thing. It brought back more players. People were starting to be happy. There was a like bright light at the end of the tunnel for Destiny 2. But Activision, they were not happy. Activision was unimpressed of just the post-launch sales of Destiny 2 overall, and then the monetization of Forsaken was like disappointing. They were like, they're kind of talking their shit, investment calls, saying that, you know, they were just super disappointed with all their investors and stuff. And while Bungie and the player base were proud of where their game was going, apparently Activision wasn't, and they were just done with Destiny 2, and that's probably the last straw that made them cut ties earlier today with Bungie. And there's been this theory that one of the main reasons, or one of the main issues with Destiny 2 is that Activision has forced Bungie's hand to add more incentive for microtransactions and drip-feeding content and all those awesome DLC terms everyone loves to hear. And this concept was definitely noticeable in Destiny 2. I remember I said there was no end game and it felt watered down. Well, the reason that is because like all the armor variety and all the cool weapons and exotics and everything that you would grind for in Destiny 1, that was all like locked behind Eververse, which is where you would go to buy silver and buy cosmetics. Think, you know, for Call of Duty, this would be Blackjack Shop. What you could grind for, it was like really, really grindy, and it seemed like really pointless. It just ruined the desire to play more and more and just grind out Destiny, which is the draw of looter shooters and is a whole freaking problem with the core of the game. So you think returning to that would be a good thing, stepping stone, you can build from there and then kind of Destiny 2 when it's actually a good game. But apparently that wasn't good enough for Activision. It's really interesting because this split reinforces the theory that Activision was the problem with Destiny. Activision has been seen as a scapegoat. People have always like kind of blamed them and say Bungie has good intentions. It was all Activision's hands, which could be true. It also could be false, and maybe Bungie is just as greedy as them. But it's going to be interesting to see where Destiny goes now that Bungie is free of Activision and they have no one else to blame now. So everything from I'd say from like the second DLC from here and on, Destiny 2 should be awesome and like really, really intriguing. If there's still a lack of content and things seem way off, then I don't know about Destiny and Bungie. But there's also a thing that they're indie now and the production may get harder and slower because they do have production problems with Destiny with how big of a game it is. So we'll just have to wait and see. But as for Activision, I want to talk about this real quick. I don't know what they're doing either, man. I'm kind of scared for their games. I'm kind of scared for Call of Duty. I'm kind of scared for Overwatch and just all the Activision games because they're going through a lot of drastic changes. At the core, it all started with Eric Hirshberg. You might remember this. This was a couple months ago. Eric Hirshberg was the CEO and he left the company. And during that time, Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield, who were the leads at Sledgehammer, Sledgehammer made Advanced Warfare and World War II for Call of Duty. They were promoted to executives at Activision. People were thinking they were going to tag team CEOs or something like that. But then a couple months ago, Glenn Schofield actually stepped down. He's kind of like stepping down from the gaming industry, actually. And a bunch of other people were just leaving and getting promoted to Activision like it was a part-time job or something. And then out of nowhere, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, not one, but 2 CFOs were fired. One of them was fired, one of them was dismissed, and they got replaced with new people, new heads over at Activision. And Activision has also been putting pressure on Blizzard and all the other developers they have to make more money. Apparently, Activision has had a hand in ruining World of Warcraft and kind of changing it to not be what it was, kind of like how Destiny and Destiny 2 is. And apparently Activision has also been encouraging Blizzard to put more resources towards new IPs because the new IPs are what make the money, and to put less resources on games that aren't as popular and aren't driving as much money. So it's led to less support for Blizzard's popular game Hearthstone, and apparently is going to affect the development of Overwatch, which is still a huge game in itself. But you know, Overwatch isn't making the money it did at launch, not as big of a player base, so Activision doesn't care about it anymore. It's scary because there's so much good going on for the game. It's a fun game, and I'm curious to see how this affects Overwatch League, because Overwatch League is freaking amazing. It's like what esports should be. It was on ESPN, bro, on the finals. It like, this is, I think Overwatch League is what could make esports popular and mainstream. I don't want to see that get affected because Activision wants to be greedy and they're not going to be able to put as much resources in that. That would be horrible. I don't want to see that game spiral out of control and just Activision games in general. And we're seeing all their aggressive monetization efforts changing their games, like Black Ops 4, for example. I've talked about this many times. There's this whole, you know, you can only buy a lot of the cool stuff in the game right now. You can only get stuff with COD points. You can't earn COD points. You can only buy them. There's no cryptocurrency you can earn stuff with. It's kind of messed up, and it could be reworked a little bit. And, you know, over time, if things get overhand, if they're, you know, firing executives so people are more in line with being super aggressive with microtransactions, trying to make as much money as possible, that's not a bright future for the future of Activision games. So, you know, there's some weird stuff going on, man. Exciting stuff for Bungie. Congrats to them, man. But I don't know. It's really interesting. Only time will tell. We can only see where Activision games go from here. What happens with Bungie if they get better. If they get better, it's going to be like, ooh, Activision. Activision actually is the devil publisher. We don't want anything to do with their games. You know, Call of Duty might be doomed in the future. We'll just have to wait and see, man. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments if you actually watched this whole thing. If you guys aren't familiar with Destiny, let me know what you think about the whole situation. If you are familiar with Destiny, let me know if you're excited. And let me know what you think about Activision, you know. Talk to me down below. Let's have a conversation. But that'll be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe for future gaming and Call of Duty content, and hit the bell notification so you get notified as I upload. Don't miss any awesome content. There's links down below in the description. 10% off Control Freak, who is having a flash sale right now. And you also find discounts for Into the Game apparel down there as well. You also find other goodies down like my Amazon associate link, links to all the areas you record these videos, all the fun things like that. But again, thanks for watching, guys. My name's Skater. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.